Welcome to Curve Talk. Redshifting. Even the guy who came up with redshifting wasn't sure was it a measurement of distance or time. So could redshifting just be a measurement of time instead of distance, which would prove Terrence Howard right? If you measured that amount of time, it would be like, wow.
To it, but it moves. It's what moves me in hopes that when I'm in a situation that there's a greater being that's able to hear it. And if everybody is doing that and conscious of every thought that goes through our minds, the entire universe has to share that thought.
Yes.
Whether you carry it out or not, the entire universe. So we are responsible for how God is perceived.
Facts. And I went live the other day, and I was really going in hard. I did one of my rants, right? And I was ranting about the Electoral College. And people thought I was only talking about the political system and voting, but I was really talking about taking that same thing you just said, becoming your own Messiah, becoming your own president, that mindset, that frequency. And what does that mean? Becoming the president of your own life and become the president of your family. In other words, it means taking on that responsibility. I said, if you want your community to be fixed, you go out and fix your community.
Bingo.
If you want situations to be repaired in your life and in your family's life, financially or otherwise, you work on that. Because nobody's coming in here to save you and fix that problem except for you. You are the one that you've been waiting for. You are the savior you've been waiting on. And when people get the concept understanding that they are their own saviors versus taking the victim mentality and trying to make an outside source into a slave, this world would change, the universe would change overnight.
Yeah, when you know that you are responsible to get yourself out of the hole,
Yeah.
you become inventive.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Facts.
But when you're waiting for someone else to come and save you from an enslaved condition,
Yeah.
freedom is not given. Freedom is something you take.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Freedom is something that you demand. If it's handed to you,
Yeah.
that's not free. That's not liberty.
Yeah.
You know, and we're supposed to be agents or apertures of the Creator in all that we do if we are truly made in God's image.
Right.
And we do have God's power because we have the ability to bring life or death to multitudes of creatures. We can blow a planet out of the sky
Mm-hmm.
if we want. So we have the power of God. What are we doing with it?
Exactly. We literally have the power. People don't understand that. Like when people say, the power is in you, the light is in you, people think it's just a phrase or a term, but it's real. The real energy, the divine spark that created everything in the universe is in every atom inside of our body. It inhabits us. So we are God and God is us. And when you begin to understand and grasp that and realize that everything that exists has been manifested by a conscious thought by people. We are creating everything that exists. This table, this microphone, the cell phone, even the paper that's here with the ink on it. We're manifesting this out of conscious thoughts into reality, and people take it for granted. They think that they don't have any power, and human beings don't have the power to create or destroy. But if you look around and pay attention, we're creating and destroying everything. We're the ones that have the power to do that. It's been granted and gifted to us. We just have to know how to wield that power.
Well, maybe we're just a product of this condition of when the earth or planet gets to this particular position from the sun, and the earth will ultimately have to be pushed out to where Mars is,
Yeah.
and everything will expand on it.
Mm-hmm.
There has to be something that tears it down, so maybe humanity is that thing that tears down that which was put up. Maybe that is our position, because apparently that's what we seem to do. We're very caustic.
I guess you see we're so destructive as a species that what we seem to do naturally. Just tear up shit, I guess.
Homo sapiens. But I can no longer consider myself.
And what do you say? Is it it's a
part
10
of a Homo
Earth is at a 10 is at a 10
species when
is at
there
a
are
10
nothing
trillion
There are nothing like
drift from the
my
sun?
thought process.
Hold up, let
or
me
my-
see. So if it's 10 trillion within, hold on, let me see. And I believe he said it's like 9 billion, 99, it's like 9 trillion, 800 and something billion. So it's like close to, you could just round it off and just say 10 billion, say 10 trillion years. It took Earth 10 trillion years to get to where we are in the Goldilocks zone. So we're in the Goldilocks zone. So how far away is Pluto from the sun?
3.7 billion miles, according to NASA science. But on average, Pluto is 3.7 billion miles away from the Sun, or 39 astronomical units. From 1979 to 1999, Pluto was near perihelion.
That's enough. So if Pluto is 3.7 billion miles from the Sun, then according to Terrence Howard, the age of our solar system, the age of our current solar system should be 3.7 quadrillion years old. If I'm just saying, if it took the Earth 10 trillion years to reach the position that it is right now, according to Terrence Howard, if it took the Earth 10 trillion years to get to where the Earth is now, and it took Pluto 3.7 billion years to get to where it's at right now, then the time it would take Pluto to get to the position it is 3.7 quadrillion years. So the distance correlates to the age of where it is. And if you think about it, if it took Earth 10 trillion to reach this distance, then yeah, it would take where Pluto is in the solar system. So our solar system, so according to Terrence Howard, our solar system presently has been in existence the way it is for 3.7 quadrillion years. Yeah. Okay. Well, there you go.
Hopes or my actions. You know, I'm an actor because I wanted to win my mother's approval. You know, my mother wanted my son to be, my brother to be an actor, and I wanted her affection so bad that I'm like, okay, if I become an actor, I'll get her affection. But the moment she died, I realized, what am I doing this? I had no, hey, Ma, look what I'm doing. I'm like, oh, I've gotten distracted, you know, being insecure about my affection with my mother. How many more of us are pursuing things that have nothing to do with our calling or our purpose because we're trying to...
That's why I always say people who find out what they're good at when they're young in life and get to do that their whole life, they really are pretty blessed. They really are pretty blessed because they get to do what they were here to do. They find out what they were meant to do early in life, and they just get to pursue that the whole time while they're walking around on the planet. That's pretty fucking cool.
Get to the job that you have to do. Otherwise, you're wasting your time, and you'll end up being relegated to another purpose instead of that which you were supposed to accomplish.
Man, you speaking true facts today.
That the Bible was talking about. The center of the earth, in order for this to exist, there's a sphere in here, a sphere in here, a sphere in here, and a sphere in here, and these four spheres interacting are responsible for all effects of nature. And how they respond when other things bond with them. All of these things, and this is how we develop the linchpin. It's like, okay, well, they're not listening to it for predictive value. So it was like, well, let's build it out and put props into those individual areas, and we'll invent tangential flight.
Right. Which I saw the tangential flight from you when we had our live, months ago. But
yeah, I seen that video. That shit was pretty
blew
cool.
My mind.
Yes.
Because then I saw an application of the science.
Right.
So it's one thing to have ideas, concepts, theories, but once you can see it being applied, it changes your concept and understanding of it completely.
Let's get it right. Well, that's some of the patterns. I'm going to just pop it up here. We'll see a four bond of their use.
Mm-hmm.
Here's four of them coming together.
Yeah.
And out of the vortices, we've attached now arms, but the four of these will now come together and lift this 50-pound barrel.
Yeah.
And then five of them will come together and pick up the five collected barrels because of their collected thrust.
Right.
Collective
This is a
thrust.
whole new
Oh, similar to the thrust vectors on the F-22 Raptor. You know how the thrust vectors on the F-22 help the craft make tighter turns and almost do standstill stall maneuvers like it's just hanging midair? Must be like the thrust on that must collectively work together to give it more pulling power. And the more thrust there is, then the more pulling power it has.
Form of flight.
Entirely new form of flight, tangential flight,
Yeah.
the ability to fly around your own center of mass, something they've never been able to accomplish with just 6 props. But this was low-hanging fruit from the linchpin. I wasn't trying to build flight vehicles. I was just trying to prove, I was like, if this...
So I thought he was designing that shit like that. So Lord. So he wasn't like designing that shit. He was just like proposing the idea, and from that he said just put propellers on it and just move around, or it could just move around itself in space. So that was just, I guess that's why he says low hanging fruit. So he just wasn't looking actually to design a flight system with it. It was just like actually it's the linchpin, and he said you could take the linchpin, it's so adaptable you could literally just put propellers inside of them and it could just move around. Beside a plethora of other things that is useful at doing. That's pretty fucking incredible.
And it should have tangential flight.
Right.
It's like, oh, by the way, it's okay, this shit is really designed to do this, and oh, by the way, if you just put propellers in it, it can also do this shit too. It's like, damn.
With this, there are people that are saying you can't. It's not possible to accomplish that, and within 2 weeks,
Boom.
we had it done.
Yeah.
By putting it out into the universe. And now these 5, so this is the end of cranes, or this will be able to greatly
I mean, in
assist
Egypt, that's maybe how they was moving those
how
big ass stones
people
around.
construct
I mean, they probably wouldn't, but I'm
and
just
bringing
saying.
things home, and they're all autonomous.
This starts making you even ask questions like, could this technology have existed in the ancient past?
It had to.
Potentially help to build some of these megalithic structures.
It had to.
Yeah. Because you can lift an incredible amount of weight with this technology.
Any weight that you want.
Yeah.
And then you cut to...
And really, any goddamn massive weight like the stones they used to build the pyramids, all you need to do is counterbalance the weight to move that shit. You know what I'm saying? If you had a stone of the same mass or even more, all you have to do is just rig something up where you can just counterbalance that shit. And you can move that shit around like it's a fucking toy, basically. Besides, wasn't it Archimedes that said, give me a lever long enough and I can move the world? So, yeah.
You'll read it in the background. It's conventionally projectile weapons are powered by chemical potential energy that is converted into kinetic energy. For example, a conventional firearm round includes gunpowder, smokeless powder, or some other propellant that is ignited by a primer, which causes the propellant to deflagrate. Well, gases from the burning propellant becomes pressurized and expand, which push a projectile, such as a bullet or a slug, out of a firing chamber and through a bore of a gun barrel. While chemical-based projectile weapons have been the standard for hundreds of years, the small amount of propellant that can be practically placed in the small volume of the firing chamber limits the propulsive force that can be generated, and therefore limits the speed at which the projectile can be fired and the distance that the projectile can be shot.
Damn. So basically we are at the limits of what normal bullets can do. We're basically at the limits of how far a bullet can go, how much power a bullet can have. And making a bigger caliber doesn't make a difference. You know what I'm saying? I mean, look at a fucking tank round. You know what I'm saying? At the end of the day, it could still only go so far, I guess. I don't know.
Present disclosure describes systems and methods for projectile.
And by the way, do we really need, if his energy weapons are as effective as he's saying, do we really need new ways to kill each other? I mean, that's the only thing about that shit. It's like it's awesome. You know what I'm saying? It's awesome tech if it's real, if it's true. But do we really need new ways to kill each other? I mean, we're pretty fucking efficient at that already. Imagine if his drones were applied on the battlefield. I mean, goddamn, you could damn near hardly hide and run from the drones they have now. His drones, shit. His drones could his drones could literally go in a foxhole and crawl along the walls of a foxhole until it found enemies and just killed them. You literally couldn't run away from his fucking drones. You literally couldn't hide from his type of drone if they applied that shit to on the battlefield.
And so it immediately skips a gas state that it typically would go to, and it goes to a plasma state.
Talking about some fucking Terminators type shit.
The gas state into a discharge, and it's basically lightning out of the barrel.
Gotcha.
So depending upon how much electricity you run in through one thimble of water, you can send something into space.
He was it with a thimble of fucking water, with just a thimble of water.
Outside of the solar system, you
can fire off a pulse blast.
For the Lynch.
Kind of like that Terminator movie, like in the battle scene when they were showing the futuristic battle when the Terminators had basically taken over and they were showing them little laser blast shit,
So is it something like
little
you
plasma
send the charge
blast.
in and you create this expansion through this plasma, then you do it over and over again, and it rides this.
Yeah, you put it on a sustained thing. But
Right.
if you think about, I'll give one secret away. If you think about Victor Schauberg's example of the fluidity of how water is supposed to move, now you're able to get an internal interaction
Gotcha.
that's sustainable, and then you provide a way out.
Gotcha.
So we're able to, it's basically lightning out of the barrel. It's ray guns. You know, now we patented it as a gun.
Yeah.
That shit is so cool.
We were trying to make guns. We wanted to prevent anyone else from being able to make it as a weapon.
Gotcha.
But there's nothing that can stop this.
The applications are almost endless. Even running a combustion engine.
Off of this.
Yeah.
You know, so
you can push the cylinders. You know, I mean, this is crazy.
So we're there with so many different innovations that has affected so many different fields.
Yeah.
And we have the proof that it makes geometric sense.
Yeah.
You know, the universe gave us the ability to recognize the genetic coincidence of symmetry, so we would know that something is healthy.
Right.
So
Right.
we know that
Like black and yellow kill a fellow. Motherfucker know that shit, boy. You see a snake, you see black and yellow. It'll kill a fellow. Get away from it. Or leaves the three, leave them be.
Therefore, that means that their organs
Stay away from that shit.
would be healthy. Well, if we have the genetic or the symmetrical similarities and the harmony associated with this that registers in our eyes, it makes sense putting it together. Now we've innovated multiple to the black universities because I was questioning 1 times 1.
Yeah. Right.
I went to Morgan's to be there, and I shared these things there. But that was 5 years ago.
Yeah. Wow.
None of the black universities. And so I'm like, okay.
Yeah.
So now, because all of this stuff is patented, I don't have to share it with those universities that were unwilling. But what does that do to black people?
Yeah, it just holds us back even further. I mean,
Right.
the opportunity was there. You know, sometimes we can't see the opportunity when it's standing directly in front of our face because we've been so systematically put.
And also, you got to think, science have done so fucking well. You know what I'm saying? Look at the shit that we've been able to achieve. You know what I'm saying? Look at GPS and shit. How you use GPSs on your goddamn phone, on every goddamn phone, for God's sake. You know what I'm saying? How the hell could science be so off if we've done so much with it? That could be just a testament to how smart we are as humans. You know what I'm saying? We can have shit wrong and still come up with shit right, you know? Like a broke clock is right twice a day.
of the linchpin. This is me taking
Wonderful.
the linchpin out or the texture into its fullest place, and it becomes mirrored all shapes. But this is the magnetic field. This is predicting every particular waveform. Inside of this is a water hammer. It's a transmitter. It's a receiver. It's a
fractal of DNA almost to me. Incredible.
The whole thing's just wackadoo. But right now, Trump is in office, and Elon Musk is working with Trump. Joe Rogan knows Elon Musk. Elon Musk knows the president. So Terrence Howard, he knows the right people at this time. He knows Joe Rogan. Joe Rogan knows Elon Musk. Elon Musk knows the president. And what he really needs is just government funding put behind just one of his ideas to bring that shit to fruition. So maybe we are in the golden age. Who knows? But it's going to be really, really interesting to stick around and find out. Like I say, wackadoo.